beach here 4 years ago, holding my mom's unopened suicide note. I still haven't opened her note, but I've uncovered many things since then. Not about her so much, but about myself. I lost my mom to suicide in December of 2011, a day before her 57th birthday. Like you, my life was turned upside down that day. I found myself asking why and going through those stages of grief. Some days handling them as you would expect, some days not so much. There isn't a wrong way or right way of handling grief. I remember feeling so very alone and scared and utterly unsure of how I was going to handle my life, knowing that my mom had died by suicide. I found myself looking at my own young daughters, and I tried to imagine how I could go on pretending that I had it all together for them when life was showing me a seemingly insurmountable mountain. I wanted understanding and some type of closure from my mom. The reality of knowing that I would not get that in the beginning was more painful than words can describe. I had decided to do something a bit unorthodox with my pain, which was to feel it. I got curious about what her death meant and what I could do to understand why. One of my coping tools has always been learning, so I went back to college for 7 years. I was raising my daughters primarily by myself, as I had also recently gone through a divorce. It has been nearly 10 years since my mom has passed, and I'm grateful to say that now I'm an independently licensed master of social work. Thank you, I didn't expect that. Thank you. I learned a lot about mental health and treatment during these years and have gained an appreciation for what my mom was feeling and coping with during her life. This is where I want to be honest because I feel that many of you will relate. She struggled most of her life with drug and alcohol addiction, which means I struggled with loving her with her addictions. Those with addictions are typically battling mental health issues. If any of you can relate, you know how challenging this is. The inconsistencies, the drama, the hurt, and the anger. I could go on and on. It's not easy for those who live in the wake of an addict. I hated that she chose drugs over me. I lived most of my life feeling that she loved her high more than me or anyone else in our family. I didn't understand it. I couldn't understand it. Sometimes I thought I hated her. How could she do the things to myself and our family? Even after all of my education and own therapy, I still had this tinge of not getting it. Yes, I had forgiven her. I had understood the self-medication that she did, but a part of me still needed a deeper level of understanding. Sorry. People who have addictions have behavior that can be confusing and hurtful. Their inconsistencies sometimes feel unforgivable. We just don't get it, or at least I didn't, even with the knowledge that I had of the brain and behavior. I have chosen to work at the House of Mercy, which is an addiction treatment center in Des Moines. Ironically enough, the very same place that my mom got services, which I found out after I started there. I didn't know. What I can tell you from what I learned is that everyone has a story and something they are battling inside. You see, we look at addicts as being broken, but the truth is, we are all a bit broken. Traumas, hurts, fear, and rejection are just a window to the pain. Addiction happens in the absence of connection. from ourselves and from others. Overdose rates are on the rise, and with COVID and everything that is going on in our world, it has made it more challenging to connect. The first year and a half after I lost my mom, I went to a survivor of suicide loss support group. It was one of the best things I could have done for myself because I connected with others who shared similar pain. We know that humans need connection. In fact, it's just above food and shelter on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We may not be able to see our loved ones that have passed anymore, but they are with us. When someone you love dies by suicide, sometimes your faith is challenged. I remember the first time that I could feel my mom's presence after she had passed. It was her essence, but without all the hurt and sadness that I could feel when she was here. I don't believe that we truly die, for love doesn't die. Our loved ones are still with us, wanting us to continue this life, remembering the good times and learning from the hard times. One of the biggest lessons my mom taught me was to live fully and deeply. Sadly, she was unable to do this, but she lives on through me, and her message is loud and clear. Seek solace in the feeling in times that you wonder if they are with you. They still are. I recently got married. Only my husband, our kids, and his parents were there. The wedding coordinator had set up 2 chairs where his parents sat and 3 chairs on my side where my family would have sat. He asked me if I wanted those chairs removed, probably because it looked funny they were empty. I told him no, that my loved ones are here in spirit. My mom, my grandma, and my brother-in-law, who recently passed a couple months prior, were there. I knew it. So, right after the ceremony, I looked up and saw the most beautiful rainbow, which actually turned into a double rainbow. I started to cry. I knew it was them. We all knew it was them. It hadn't even rained for 4 hours. I hold on to these moments, for I know in my heart that we are never alone. Please be gentle with yourself and know that you are always surrounded by love, even in the moments you can't feel it. Love is what connects us to ourselves and each other. My mom taught me the most valuable lessons of my life, which are lessons for all of us to live. You see, she didn't want me to die with her. She wanted me to live the way that she couldn't. I truly believe that our loved ones want that for us. We are still here living. We cannot get them back, and we may not get the answers that we need from them right now, but we will get the hope of peace as we connect with others on this journey. All of us here are connected and touched by our loved ones on the other side. If I could leave you with any piece of advice, it would be to continue to go through the grief process with compassion for yourself, but have the faith that someday it will not hurt as badly and that you will find peace again in your heart, for that is where love resides. Thank you.